Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the books I read in November. I was so sure I was not going to read a lot, and then I surprised myself as usual. Not as much as I've read in the past few months. I think I read a total of 7 books, but I enjoyed the books that I ended up reading. There wasn't a single one that I rated below 4 stars, so all in all, I think November was pretty successful, but I read some good stuff. So with that being said, let's get into the books. I went ahead and read volumes 17 and 18 of Demon Slayer. At this point, we are, I think, at the final battle. I don't want to give too much away because I know some people aren't reading the manga, they're just watching the anime. Some people might not be caught up on the manga itself, but we're at a somewhat final battle, but I don't think we're really close to this being over. I think we've got quite a few volumes left, but I rated these 2 5 stars. Definitely cried at the end of 17 and am freaking out in 18. I believe that volume 19 comes out sometime in December, so I'm excited to finish for the year, basically, because like I said, there's quite a few volumes left. We're not done yet. A lot of these battles are stretching out a bit, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm still entertained. I still really love Demon Slayer as a series. I would absolutely recommend it, and as a manga, the story is just on point. I love all of the characters, and you are still seeing people get stronger and learn something, and the villains are still kind of sad, because if you've read or watched Demon Slayer, you know that there's always this point where Tanjiro is about to take one down, and then they have this moment of like clarity and humanity of thinking about like the time that basically turned them into a demon. And there's always 1 or 2 demons that has a sad backstory, and you're definitely not missing that in any of these, but you still have the ones that are like total assholes. So don't worry, not all of them are like, oh my god, so heartbroken that they died. Some of them are like, yes, please die. So yeah, I definitely recommend these 2. The next book I read was One to Watch by Kate Stamen London. I rated this 4 stars, and this was not a bad romance. It's very different than what I've been reading recently, mainly because this book is about a woman named B. She is a plus-size fashion blogger. She and her friend love to watch this reality show that's very much like The Bachelorette, and she gets a little tipsy and she decides to blast the show online because of its lack of representation. It's all like petite, skinny, blonde women and hunky men who are on it because they do like bachelorette versions. And she basically rips the show to shreds, and it gets viral on the internet. Well, I think it's like essentially like a few months to a year go by. She's kind of laying low. She's had this very annoying moment with a guy that she's in love with but doesn't love her, who kind of has strung her along a bit. It was her friend. They have a hookup, and she's basically left devastated after this. She's trying really hard to get over it. It's not quite working, but then she's approached by the new person who is taking control of the reality TV show, and they're like, we want to make you basically the new Bachelorette. I can't remember what the fake show is called in this, Main Squeeze or something. And at first she's like, no, what the hell are you talking about? But then she kind of comes around to it, and the book is then about her time on the show, choosing between all these guys, and it was really fun to read. Although I will say that this is one book that I would absolutely love to see as a movie or a TV show. I liked it as a book, but it definitely, I think because I'm such a fan of reality TV, not specifically The Bachelor or Bachelorette, I've never actually watched that. I think that this would have been a really great show or movie to watch. But with that being said, it was very funny. I think B as a character was really awesome. I genuinely liked her as a person. I was frustrated with her at times, But then I had those moments of when she was a little bit frustrating to listen to or deal with. I thought, but that's real though. You know, her reactions and her feelings toward the situation were very real, and I think it would be something that I would feel too. You'll have to read it to truly understand, but the setup of the book is really funny, but also, in a way, I honestly didn't know who she was going to choose in the end. They do the little twist, which I kind of saw coming. Someone gets brought on the show that is supposed to be a surprise. Obviously, it's a surprise to B. Not much of a surprise to us, but I kind of saw that coming, but I really didn't know, like, who she was going to pick at the end. You saw some guys who were chosen for her that were awful. Some that were made to be villains, like we all know is going to happen on reality TV. And then other guys who were just pure assholes. It was very real, but also very sad, but also really great. Like I said, there was a lot of cool stuff that went on in this book. I would recommend it, but if it's not already something that's like been picked up for like a show or something, I could see this one being turned into a movie or a show and people actually really enjoying it. But yeah, like I said, 4 stars for one to watch. Yeah, I'd recommend this book. The next book I read was The Silvered Serpants by Roshani Chakshi. And I don't know what made me pick this up. I know that I had said this like a month or so ago. I didn't realize there was a sequel coming out until I was at Barnes & Noble. I saw it. I was like, oh my God, I want to read that because I liked The Gilded Wolves earlier this year. I knew that I wasn't going to get to it in October, and I didn't even think I would pick this up in November, but I ended up picking it up, and that's what led me to have my TBR for the end of the year, because this is like one of the first times I'm able to pick a book up quickly, the sequel, after I started the first one. And when I saw it, I also told you guys in September that I listened to the audiobook again, and it prepared me for this book. And I have to say, it actually was pretty good. I rated this 4 stars. This takes place a few months, possibly a year after the end of the last book, after we see the death of one of the team. And obviously everybody is very affected by it. Obviously Severin is affected the most, and then I would say Layla, and then everyone else. Those two, specifically Severin, is just, you can't get through to him at all. You get why. You know, the death of this person was very traumatic for him, and what he later discovers and things that just kind of make sense to him later. Yes. I'll start with what I didn't quite like about the book, and I've only seen one other person talk about it, and I would agree with them that the angsty love between Layla and Severin is a bit much. Like, at the end of the first book, Layla and Severin are just, you know, this flirting that they've done back and forth, it's going nowhere. They've both established that nothing's going to happen now. Layla's basically pushed away by Severin, when I think in the beginning she pushed him away for a relationship, and now his feelings for her just kind of, they're still there, but they're kind of dead because of the death of this person. He feels like, I can't get too close to anyone, least of all someone that I may truly love. There's nothing for you. And for whatever reason, because the Winter Conclave is basically the setup for this book, she's like, I propose that I act as your mistress for this grand scheme that we have. And you know, if anybody's read the book, I'd really love to hear your thoughts about that, because I kind of felt like, well, I know that Layla, her like job, I guess, I'm not quite sure exactly like what Layla does primarily. Is she the performer primarily, or did she work in Lake Eden primarily? I don't know. But anyway, her playing the mistress in this book to me was almost just a waste of her character, because you have Zofia, you have Enrique, you even have Hypnos, you know, all these people and Hypnos, let's be honest, he's my favorite character, first of all. Hypnos is #1 my favorite character in this series. I love him. He makes me laugh. he's the funniest and definitely a much deeper character than you think he is in the first book. And you definitely have some layers peeled back for Hypnos in the second one, which I really loved to see. But with that being said, even I feel like Hypnos, I don't know, he's just not as blunt as Layla in this book. And I was just very disappointed, especially because of the animosity that happens between her and another character based off of the role that she chose. You could have pretended to be anybody. That's what I don't really understand. We could have pretended to be anybody in this like mission to discover the fallen house or whatever. Why did you want to be the mistress? I don't know. I'm not mad at the author for that or anything, but anyway, I didn't like that. I didn't like the angst love between them because I feel like it was just so much. And you just got to a point where you were just kind of like, please just tell him how you feel. Tell her how you feel. Why can't you just speak? Just speak your feelings. It's not that hard because a lot of people were in a lot of pain emotionally and mentally because Severin wouldn't just open up his mouth and express himself. God, it was annoying. But anyway, I did think that this book was a little bit more exciting than the first one. I like both, but I think that the mystery in this one was a little bit cooler, just because they find this hidden ice palace and they really are getting so much closer to understanding the fallen house and what's going on. The thing about this book is that I did not see the twist. I was sure that the path that they were leading us on in this book made sense. It's all going to revolve around Layla. And they switch it up a bit, and I did not see that coming. I did cry in this book. Another person dies that I did not want to. I didn't cry in the first one, but this one really got me because, again, I think that she did a great job of really opening up characters more, and we're getting a better look at what the hell is going on or what some characters' motivations were. So yeah, I definitely will read the third book. I'm not gonna lie. I was a bit bored with this one at times, and that's only because of the love story. But ultimately, I like where this is going. I like where the plot is going. I definitely want to see what happens now that this particular character is on the path that they're on, and what's going to happen to Layla. So if you've read the first book, you know what's going on with Layla. We talk about it more in this book. And guess what? Time's ticking. So what the hell is going to happen? Is the next book going to be super short? We don't have many days left, if you know what I mean. With that being said, what the hell is going to happen? So yes, 4 stars for The Silvered Serpent. The next book I read was Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chakraborty. I listened to this on audiobook. I truly recommend listening to this on audiobook if you have the opportunity, because I love the audiobook version of this. I could definitely see myself reading this. I love this kind of book. But I just like the narrator for this series. It's just really good. She gets me every time. This was a great sequel. I am so pumped to listen to the third one because I just went ahead and got on Audible. I don't want to wait for it to be free on Hoopla. I just want to listen to it immediately. And this was really great. This one takes place 5 years after the end of the first book. We're following Nari, Ali, and someone that we think might have died. That's something that happens at the end of the first book. I won't say too much, just in case you just finished the first book or haven't read the series at all. I think that this story is really, really, really great. I love the story, honestly. I think that Nari as a character, I really do like her. So for whatever reason, I just decided to look at reviews on Goodreads for the first book and like certain relationships in it. I can't tell you why. And then kind of talking more about what happened in the second book. And I definitely feel like I ship Ali and Nari. I don't know if people would prefer Nari and Dara, but I like her and Ali. I don't know what it is. I just like them together. That's not a spoiler for anything. That's not necessarily what's going on in the second book. This is just my random thoughts. But I would absolutely recommend this book. I don't know if I said that already, that I gave it 5 stars, but it's definitely a 5-star book. I cried at least 3 times in this book. Woo, let me tell you, I was listening to it when I was doing my makeup for work. Bad idea, because luckily I hadn't started the eyeliner yet, but I was gushing tears. This got me so sad. I don't want to talk about it because it's a very sad death, very sad moments. Then some moments that get better, but still like extremely sad. Yeah, I think the story is really great. I will say one thing, it's hard to follow all of the people. And by that, I don't mean like Nari and Ali and Mutadir and Dara. It's mostly like the issues between the Jinn and the Devas and the Shafit. That's a bit hard at times to follow because I was forgetting, why don't they like the Shafits again? And why don't they like the Jinn? That can be a little bit overwhelming, but all in all, I would say that the book is amazing, and I am really, really excited to read the third book for sure. So the next thing I read, I'm going to count it as one, even though I read 4 things. They were issues to they were issues for a graphic novel that obviously, like, when you read the issue, it's only like 23 pages. But Something's Killing the Children, I read issues 7, 8, 9, and 10. I really don't know how to describe this graphic novel, but what I can say is that it's really good. It's just frustrating when you're reading it issue by issue on a free app because it's not getting updated very often. But at this point, yeah, something is still killing the children. That's all I can really say. It has to do with monsters, a little town, monsters that kill kids, monsters that really only kids can see, and a secret order of people who are about to try to take the monsters out. Like, it's not even necessarily all over the place, but it's kind of all over the place. But I like it. I'd recommend it. I guess I could say that I would rate it like 3 stars. It's not bad by any means, but I can't wait until I can get a physical copy of it being in a volume, because reading it 23 pages, it just ends so abruptly when it's not in a volume style, if that makes sense. But definitely would recommend. If you read it like me, I can definitely tell you it's very short, because it's only 23 to 32 pages for each issue. So, you know, just like any chapter, it ends very quickly and you're like, well, fuck, what am I supposed to do now? But anyway, it's really good. And lastly, a book that I literally finished right before I started filming this was Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. I am going to start off by saying that I will be putting a little like spoiler alert moment in this video, because this one got me. Luckily I finished this ahead of like it being my December TBR, so good for me. Look at me being, you know, ahead of the curve, overachiever, yes. But anyway, this is the second book in the Arc of a Scythe series, and the back is, honestly, I think this actually is a really good thing to repeat. The Thunderhead cannot interfere in the affairs of the Scythedom. All it can do is observe. It does not like what it sees. And that's pretty much a good summary of the book, because, you know, it's been a long time since I read the first novel, so I can't remember if in the first book we also get chapters, or like not even chapters, it's 1 or 2 pages from the perspective of the Thunderhead. If not, you do in this book. If so, I just forgot. But it is kind of nice to see things from the perspective of the Thunderhead in the second book, because a lot of stuff is going on with the Scythes in Mid-America, across the world, but in Mid-America, after the deaths of Scythe Goddard, Bran, Chomsky, and Volta, and then the death of Rowan, who in this book basically becomes Scythe Lucifer. You see that at the end of the first book. I'll give a little alert when I'm going to spoil things. But anyway, basically in this one, we're still following Citra, who is now Scythe Anastasia, and Scythe Curry. They're both doing their thing, living their life. I think at this point it's been maybe a year or two. I can't quite remember how long it's been between the two books. But, you know, Scythe Anastasia, she's getting into her groove. She's kind of developing more into how Scythe Curry is, or Marie. And she's liking it. I really like her style in this book of how she gleans people. She is more of the old guard. That's a big thing that's happening in this book. It's the divide between Scythes who are much more compassionate, like we saw of Scythe Faraday in the first book, versus the new people. I can't remember what they're, new guard? Something. The new people who are like, I like Goddard style and I want to kill like crazy. I just want to murder it up and I'm gonna like it. And it's pretty messed up, you know what I mean? I really like Citra style. I don't know if I'll mention it now, but I like the way that she does things. And there's some people who see her as a way of possibly bringing more newer Scythes back into the fold of like how the old guard felt, like how it's supposed to go, instead of people being so enticed by the way Goddard did things and all these other people who are like, I kind of like get off to gleaning. There's some real sick Scythes in this book. We follow someone else named Grayson Tolliver. He is just a regular schmegular guy, but he is someone who obviously talks to the Thunderhead. Pretty much anyone can talk to the Thunderhead, but at a certain point, there might be a moment where you become an unsavory and you can't, and he can't interfere with you in any way, just like the Thunderhead doesn't talk to Scythes. So Grayson is someone who talks to the Thunderhead. He finds out something kind of secondhand in a way, that something is going to happen to Anastasia and Scythe Curry, and he tries to prevent it, and that just sets a whole nother set of dice falling into this thing. Someone else comes back to life that we thought was dead, actually two people, and it's pretty sick. I gave this one 5 stars because he got me. I didn't see a lot of the stuff coming that happened in this book, and it's pretty crazy. I mean, I knew that it was going to be really easy for me to pick this up and not be able to put it down, and I was not wrong. This is really, really difficult to put down. Once you start and once you see where the story's taking you, it's hard to put it down, I'm telling you. So with that being said, it's spoiler time. Alrighty, so Goddard's back. Didn't expect that at all. I did not think that that his body was going to be used as, you know, the 93% that's left of Scythe Goddard after Rowan decapitated him and Rand escaped the fire in the first book, saved half of his head, put it on ice, honey, and then used Tiger's body as his eventual body. That was sad. That made me sad because I really didn't, I just thought that was sad. Tiger really pissed me off sometimes, but at the same time, you know that he's really not a bad guy. Rand falls in love with him. I think I saw that coming, and then she'd have a change of heart. But she's still a cold bitch, let me tell you that. Because at the end, even when she lets Rowan go, and she, like, has some control over Goddard again. Did you really? Did you really? Because I don't know, this man is a little psycho. But anyway, I thought the moment when Grayson's probation officer, Traxler, is gleaned, oh my god, and he stays Slade, I was like, that's a fear. That's a fear. I would hate for that to happen because that's frightening. Like, I'm like, literally, he becomes unsavory for trying to save Citra and Marie. So the Thunderhead can't talk to him anymore. he has to be the bad boy, which is like laughable considering like the society that they live in because of Thunderhead. And they make a fake background for him to kind of be this secret agent for the Blade Guard or the Scythe, not the Scythe, for the Thunderhead basically. And then his freaking probation officer, who's the guy who like made him an unsavory in the beginning, whatever, who's the one who's creating all of this backstory for him, is gleaned. I was like, no, I did not see that coming at all, and I was devastated. What Goddard does in the end, I mean, honestly, it's sickening. And you know, it's interesting because there are these moments where Goddard is very impulsive, and it's because of Tiger's body. So I'm wondering if in the end, the more time that Goddard spends with Rand, possibly Tiger will, more of his body, I mean, there's more of him in there than Goddard. I know it's mostly Goddard's brain at this point. I don't know. A lot's happening. A lot is happening, and I'm losing it a bit. Now I'm really wanting to read the third book. So I put it on my wish list for Christmas. But there's a part of me that wants to go to the library because I don't know if whoever had me for Christmas got it for me yet. But maybe I should wait, because I know that if I get it, even though it's the thickest, longest book in the series, I feel like I will finish it very quickly, because you just can't can't take it slow. You just can't, because so much is happening. But anyway, I think that's it. I think I've gotten out all of my feelings that are spoilery. Yeah, I think that's it. Back to the regularly scheduled programming. Yeah. All right, so that's it. That's the end of my video. Like I said, I really enjoyed the books that I read. I didn't really rate anything low at all. Everything was like 3.5 stars or above. Like I said, the graphic novels, it's kind of hard to rate them because I'm reading them issue by issue, which is like reading them chapter by chapter. So it's a little bit difficult. I know if I had that physical, like, bound volume of all the chapters together, I probably would be enjoying myself more. But overall, I think Some Things Killing the Children is really entertaining, and I would absolutely recommend every book that I talked about in this video. So if you've read any of these, please let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. If there's any that you're interested in reading, I hope that this helped you guys, you know, possibly get interested in it or just read a book in general. So like this video if you enjoyed yourself. Subscribe. I might start saying that now. I've never really said it in any of the videos, but I might start saying it now. Why not? And thanks for watching. Goodbye.
Bye.